Okay. Tim, can you double check in a second and just make sure that it's playing for us? Uh, just let me know if we need to readjust anything at all or not. Like I might have a sound problem, I'm sure. There we go. Okay, my output on the video is muted, I think, on YouTube. So that's good for me. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to tonight's event. We are talking about money. All right. I'd like to start out with talking about our sponsor for the night's event, Capital Factory. We've been with them for a few years already now. They are the folks that take care of our sponsorship for as far as providing a meeting event location for us and providing the Zoom account that we take advantage of for tonight's event as well. They're a great place. If you're a small business, you're a startup, even if you're a medium or in a large business, doesn't matter. They have opportunities for large and small, all the in-betweens, and they're a great resource to use in the community. We've got lots of events that they put on themselves and a lot of other meetup groups that are worth checking out if you ever get a chance. For today's event, the agenda, we're going to just do a quick short start, introduction. We're going to go around, introduce ourselves. That's something we want to try to start doing more often, just so we can start to get to know people in the group better. We'll have a presentation about 7:30. Depending on how long that takes, there'll be a little bit of networking. We can chit chat, hang out, talk about life, all the things about 8:30 or so, 8:45 or so. And then we end at 9 o'clock. We might stick around depending on how many people are left. If not, that'll be the end of our show for tonight. So do we have new people here tonight? Has anybody not been to one of our events before? Feel free to raise a hand or drop something in the chat if you want. But for those of you who haven't been here before, we're Hispanic Hackers. We're a group of software and hardware engineers of the Hispanic ethnicity. And our real goal is to showcase and share knowledge and experiences and build professional networks. If you're not Hispanic, that's perfectly okay. We're a great place to get to know people here in Austin and just be a part of the community. As far as our board members, we have Eddie Reyes, myself, James Lockwood. We have Laura Evans, Timothy Huang, and our newest board member, Laura Oyes. She's going to be helping out too. She's helping out with our social media. She's helping out with creating content, and she's going to be helping out with some events coming up this year. So we're really looking forward to seeing how she can help us and just be a part of our group, our community. Super excited about that.
Sorry to interrupt. I think someone had their hands up.
I told people to raise your hand if you were new.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. So some of our goals are, achieving knowledge and technology in space. We feature different topics monthly about software and hardware technologies. We focus a lot on developing career and other opportunities for our members. We connect with companies. We support diversity inclusion. One thing that we try to do 3 to 4 times a year is a whiteboard interview practice where people get a chance to, try it and fail, and it's okay before you go do this in front of a big company, and it means more. So it's practice. It's a great chance. It's a great opportunity. It's worth coming out and experiencing that if you haven't had that chance yet. We do focus on creating a community in the Hispanic community in tech, and really just trying to make friends with everybody and be a nice person. I mean, I hate to say, being social and hanging out and just getting to know people. If anybody's interested in getting involved, please feel free to let us know. You can get us on Slack, on meetup.com. You can get a hold of us through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. The Capital Factory is a great way to get a hold of us. There's no role too large or too small. If you want to do any little thing that would help anybody out in the group, you just want to be a resource for people, that's also welcome. All of the things. So if anybody wants to help, feel free to let us know. Before we get started, if everybody's okay with it, we'd like to take a group screenshot real quick. So I'll stop sharing my screen. If you feel comfortable with it, go ahead and share your screen, your camera, and we'll grab that real quick. And this is just really meant for going on our social media, and just like on our slides and stuff like that. So we're not gonna like do weird stuff with it. It's just gonna be part of our fun. So all right, Tim, when you're ready, let me know. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Oh, perfect. All right, let's get back to that screen.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it, everybody. All right. So, right now it's been kind of cold outside, so it's been hard to do social events like in-person events and like hangout events, but look forward to those to come when it warms up some more. I know I've been dying to go paddleboarding and tubing and just be out in the community and be out and exploring nature and stuff. So we'll have some events as it warms up a little bit more to come. For our next month's event, since March is Women's History Month, we're going to be focusing on an event where we focus on women of color for themed events, and the two board members we have that are women are going to kind of lead this event and talk about what's happening for women in tech, some of the experiences that they're going through, things that are important to them, things that they've noticed, just stuff in general that relates to women in tech. So that'll be next month's event, March 23rd, same time, same place. We'll look forward to hearing from them and hearing all about it. All right, so ways to find us. You can always get a hold of us at local taco trucks from the Capital Factory. I'd like to talk about our website real quick. We have that set up finally and working like it needs to be. So you can find us at hispanichackers.com. It has general information, has a little bit about our story. If you're interested in learning more about us, it has all of our social icons, all of our links. If say you missed a past event, we have that here. We have links to the event page, to our YouTube, to our slide deck. If you're interested in that, talks about what our event was, the date, time, all that stuff. So it's a good resource. Useful links right now. We have the Capital Factory as a link. But if you have other links that are important, please feel free to share them. We can put them all in here. Talks about us, about the team. Reach out to us at our email if you want to get involved. It just kind of talks more about Hispanic Hackers. So love it. It's a great website. Anybody interested in improving it, please reach out to us. Let us know. If you need if you need something to add to your resume, this is a great opportunity for someone that wants to put a little bit of time in and improve it, maybe add some things to it. Say I made a chatbot or something or whatever, anything cool, and then put that in your LinkedIn. Hey, I worked on this website, getting some experience in. So you can find us on our Meetup page. You can get us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and then, like I said, back to Capital Factory. And some of our pages have our the slides have our QR code. You can get a hold of us that way as well. So one thing that we'd like to do at the start of every event is have a time and place for announcements. So if anybody has any announcements or upcoming events, anybody that's looking for work, or anybody that's hiring, anybody that's accomplished any cool achievements, and then if all else falls, like we just want to do a quick introduction. So I'll go ahead and go first. So I am James Lockwood. I'm one of the board members of Hispanic Hackers. Been with the group for, I guess, going on 3 years now. I'm a freelance developer. I do front-end work mostly with WordPress and React. I do marketing, I do ads, I do all those things. Um, I like being a part of the community and just helping out. That's me. Who'd like to go next?
I can go next.
Go for it.
So hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm the second Laura of the board and the newest member. I currently work for Apple as a Siri annotation analyst. It's not a role that requires any tech knowledge, but I am working on learning full stack web development. Very new at it, but I'm hoping to, by the end of the year, be capable of making websites and utilizing JavaScript and some other languages that I'm hoping I can learn. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to participate and talk a little bit about salary negotiation later on in the event.
Awesome.
Hey everyone, sorry, my camera's being weird and I'm simultaneously doing a bunch of other stuff. I also just recently moved to Orlando, so the house is a mess. My name is Laura Evans. I am the OG Laura, and the other Laura is just 2.0, so she's just gonna be way better, and she's bringing some fresh ideas into the group. So I'm so excited to have her, and I can't wait to see what next month's event is going to be. It's going to be awesome. But no, I have been with the group. Is it 3 years now or 2? I don't remember.
3 years.
It's been, yeah. I work for Amazon. So if anyone is interested in Amazon opportunities, just hit me up. I started in AWS as a software engineer, and I have recently switched over to more program management, which is now actually turning more into product management. So this is all very fun. But yeah, I'm glad everyone's here, and yeah, just welcome. Welcome to Hispanic Hackers.
All right.
Oh, I'll go next. I'm Eddie. I'm a Cuban from Hialeah, lo que saben, la ciudad que progresa. Pero bueno, I've been coding for a long time. I've been with Hispanic Hackers for a long time, since like 2015. And right now I'm working at Meta, formerly known as Facebook. And I do a bunch of coding stuff, pretending to look smart in front of whiteboards recently, since I can come back to the office now. And yeah, if if anyone has any needs any coding advice or whatever, hit me up. Also, what I do at Meta is something called production engineering, which is it's just another. I mean, it's a bunch of coding, software engineering, production engineering. It's just another name for similar type of thing, except that we have a focus on reliability and scalability and distributed systems and stuff like that, which I've been hacking on a lot lately. And we have a program called Discover Production Engineering for folks who want to change careers to something like production engineering. If you're interested in that, hit me up. I can tell you all about it.
Awesome.
Cool. I'll go next. Hey everyone, my name is Tim. Thanks for everyone who came. And I'm here in Virginia right now, but I was hanging out in Austin earlier. And I'm in transition for my career. So I'm going to look for my next role here in a month or two. Proudest thing I did recently was I have an appointment for the consulate in Mexico. So it was a lot of work, but I'm getting there. And I'm really excited to be here and see all the new faces and old ones.
Thanks.
Should I pass the
Hello,
torch?
next, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So my name is Jonathan. Hello, I'm from San Antonio. I moved here about a year ago. Not like it was far, but I moved here to San Antonio a year ago, and I just recently got comfortable with JavaScript. Been working on HTML and CSS for the longest time, and just got comfortable with JavaScript and learning React as we speak as well. Been recently doing a lot of applications, turning in applications for internships to get myself a little more comfortable with it, and having somebody, behind me helping me out while we get into real world problems and whatnot. But yeah, I do work full time and then another part-time job, and then at night when I get home, I start coding. So yeah.
That's the grind.
Yep.
Way to go, man.
I'll go next. So my name is Melissa Washington. I work in the Austin area and I live up in the Fort Hood area. And I'm kind of an odd woman out. I have no tech experience other than like changing my music on MySpace a long time ago. And my skins. So I'm actually have been in military public affairs for the last 13 years, and I'm currently looking to transition into tech public relations. So I just accepted my first freelance gig for that. So just looking to get some exposure to the industry.
Awesome.
Cool. Laura Evans is also ex-military, and she went through boot camp at Galvanize, and got ramped up on her tech career like that. You two should talk.
Yep.
Yeah, hit me up.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. No one else wants to? Oh, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Alexander. I work for a company called CACI International, and they're hiring, just in case if anyone wants to check out their website. Been working as a software engineer for 20 plus years. I don't even want. I'm embarrassed to say how long. But I consider myself a polyglot programmer, meaning I know a couple of programming languages, and I've done a lot of development work, and still do a lot of development work. Mostly in the embedded engineering space. I'm just here to sort of like, no, it's been a while. I've been a member of you guys, but I just haven't had a chance to go to any of the meetup at all. So this is my first, basically.
Welcome. Here you are, man. You made it.
Yeah. Welcome. If you could, Alexander, drop
Yes.
in the link in the chat from your website, your company's site, so people can check it out.
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks. All right. Well, if no one else wants to, that's to introduce yourself. That's totally okay. There's another time, and that's okay.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
introduce myself. Hey, so I'm Roel. It's nice to meet you all. I'm a software engineer or developer. I help people build full stack web applications. Currently trying to freelance in that space. My day job is I work for Expedia, and we just try and build trust for the platform and try and make it more secure for our users. But yeah, that's it's a little bit about me. Again, I kind of just stumbled upon this group, and it's great to see you all. I completely missed the part where it was Hispanic hackers, so I feel like I've found my people. Hopefully, we can continue. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, thanks all.
Awesome.
Dali. Welcome.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna go and keep going. All right. So now our future presentation. All right. So we're covering a few topics tonight. The first one we're talking about is imposter syndrome. So what is imposter syndrome exactly? You know, it's a thing. It's a thing that a lot of people deal with. A quick definition of it, it refers to an internal experience of believing that you're not as competent as others perceive you to be. Simply, it's the feeling of being phony, thinking you're a fraud, thinking like you don't belong. You think you're the only one going through this? No. Believe it or not, about 70% of professionals feel like they've gone through this at some point in time in their career. It's part of learning a new skill. It's hard. It's difficult, but you can get through it, guys. Why do we feel like imposters? People who are focused on, or people who are forced to represent a certain group within a space feel like imposter simply because they're not surrounded by people who act or look like them, or do things that they do. So that could be anything, like a new developer. That can be like someone that is a JavaScript developer in a Python world. Someone who's the only front-end developer in the back-end team. Being that odd person out, sometimes that can lead to feelings of being an imposter. For example, like me, I mean, I feel like an imposter sometimes. I'm a career transplant from a restaurant manager, and going to different places and going to different and working in the different companies I've worked for. Sometimes I've felt like, well, why did they hire me? What skills do they see in me that that made them say yes to me? But then, like, after a while of being there on the team and starting to knock off things on that to-do list, I start to feel more like I belong, and like it's something that I can do. I'm sure we've all kind of felt that way at different times in our career, and it's hard, but it's something you can overcome. There, in our next slide, we'll talk about some things that we can do to help overcome being that feeling of imposter syndrome. If anybody's interested or feels up to it, and would like to share like a time when they felt like an imposter, at work or at home or any of those things, feel free to raise your hand or interrupt me at any time, because that's really what this is. We're just sharing information, and it's a great opportunity to kind of just talk about that. Melissa, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, like, I think I've definitely experienced this a lot because the environment I'm in, I'm working with like a lot of military officers, and so they have like a certain pedigree. They went to West Point or they went to these these institutions, whereas like I come from a background, my mom was a migrant worker and my dad is like from a border town, and he was in the army and just like a blue collar. And so it's like I get a little intimidated sometimes because I don't have the same background as some of these other professionals have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Definitely. That's hard. Yeah. But you're working through it, and that's great. And you can always use us as a resource. You can always reach out to us on Slack. You can reach out to anybody and ask for help. We're here for that. Laura, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You just hit my button, Melissa, for sure. So I am a first generation Colombian. My mom barely speaks English. She still to this day works as a laundry assistant. My dad works in construction. I was an NCO. I was a sergeant in the military. I was in the military for 14 years, and I worked with officers as well. Girl, let me tell you. It's not there. They put on their pants just the same way we do, one leg at a time. And the way that they see the world is so much different than the way that we see the world. And it's needed. Our viewpoint is needed. The way we've experienced being raised here is needed. Diversity is needed, not only for, if you care about the company that you work for, It's needed for that company's survival at the end of the day, because the world is evolving and the world is changing and the world is getting closer. So it's no longer just a white male, tech is no longer just like a white male thing or something that's like for them. So that's what I used to think when I first got into tech, that tech and software engineering and engineering or anything like that, that was white collar, was for them. It wasn't for people like me. It wasn't for us. It was for them. But no, we take up the space. Our thoughts are needed. I actually have an article that was published in Fast Company about this exactly, and I will find it and post it in the chat so you guys can take a look. Yes, it's tiny, kind of a plug, but doesn't matter. I'm actually really proud of it. But Melissa, yes, like, let me tell you that I work with people that have master's degrees, that know the ins and outs. I work specifically with Alexa devices, and right now I'm launching a device in Brazil, and I'm launching another device here in the States later in the year. And your girl does not have a master's degree. Your girl is actually in class tonight, still trying to get my bachelor's degree. So if I can do it, anybody else in this room can do it. So that is my pep talk of the night.
Yes,
Thanks, Laura.
absolutely.
So yeah, we need to talk. Hit me up. We need to talk.
Yeah,
And anybody else who wants a pep talk, they're free.
absolutely.
I love it so much, Laura. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I agree. It feels a lot nicer when we can relate to these stories and know that we're not alone in feeling this way. I definitely became familiar with the concept of imposter syndrome when I transitioned from my community college, which was extremely diverse, and I felt very much at home. And I moved on to study at American University, which is a private, mostly white, rich institution. And I've never felt so out of place in my life. It was a very difficult experience studying there, and I definitely felt that imposter feeling of like, I don't belong here. Like, I finessed my way into the school, but I definitely, like, this is not a place for me, and struggled a lot with. I definitely think it affected my self-esteem and the belief I had in my abilities up to that point. I'm thankful for the experience because it was a big learning lesson among many other things I experienced while I was there. But at that time, I was really introduced to what imposter syndrome is. And I think once you're aware of it and you see how it shows up in your life, it's like something that you're always trying to combat as a Latinx person, navigating, that identity in this country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we keep going, guys. So what does imposter syndrome look like in the workplace? This can be hard to spot sometimes, guys. Sometimes it's like that person who's trying to fly under the radar, who's just trying to skate by, not be seen. Oh my gosh, it's 5 o'clock. I'm getting out the door. I'm not gonna hang out and say hi to anybody. Sometimes it's that person. Another thing that it can be is, when you go to your meetings with the team or with the company or whatever, you may be afraid to share ideas, to speak up, to take the opportunity to get that assignment that it's going to help you to stand out among the crowd. It's hard, and sometimes by keeping your head down, you think that no one sees you, but sometimes it happens where they do see you, and they see you in the negative light as you're trying to avoid work and trying to avoid being seen. So you want to definitely try to even if try to make a friend, for example, or see if you can talk with your higher up person, whoever that may be, your manager. Hey, see if I can do a one-on-one with you or something like that. Hey, how am I doing, or what can I do to improve, kind of thing. All these are different things you can do if you don't already have some sort of a weekly stand-up with your team or with that manager. Here's just a couple things you can try that you'll at least get to get that interaction with somebody on the team and get some feedback for yourself. Another trait of that is someone who's a perfectionist. I've got to make it exactly perfect, and it's taken me extra time to work on this project. Oh no, it doesn't always have to be perfect, guys. It needs to work. I have a friend who works at Meta, not Eddie, but another friend that works at Meta, who's like, hey, we just need it to work. As long as it 80% of the time it works, gets out the door, we can work on bugs afterwards. We'll test it. We have people in charge of that. And you know what? Hey, we got to get this code to work. Let's get it done. Let's move on. So being exactly perfect 100% of the time is not, sometimes it's not achievable. Get the product working, guys. That's what I would recommend. What happens if you let imposter syndrome roam free? Well, one thing that can happen is it could lead to burnout. That constant negative feeling, that constant I'm not good enough. At the end of your day, you just don't want to go. You don't want to be there anymore. Or like going to work in the morning, you don't, if you have a commute, you don't want to get there. You want to, oh no, I hope I don't have a car accident today. I hope I don't get sick or whatever. Or hope the car doesn't start. It could lead to that feeling, and then that just kind of compiles over time, and it becomes more and more stressful for you. So definitely, reach out to a friend. Take your time to yourself. Take a step back and relax. Think about where you're at. The next slide will have more tips and things like that we'll talk about. But ultimately, it could also lead to you quitting. It could lead to losing that opportunity that they were going to give you at work. Maybe you were up for that promotion, but they gave it to somebody else for that, for example. It's definitely a vicious cycle. You can assume that success will eradicate the syndromes and make you feel more worthy. However, the more successful you get, the more harder it gets also for you sometimes. Like those people that have all those degrees, those people who have been doing it for a long time, and I'm sure some of the folks that have been in development for a while can agree that oh no, that's a young whippersnapper there, and they are so fast at this, blah blah blah, and it's a new technology or whatever. They're gonna try to take my job, those kind of things. But like even like the people that have all of these degrees and things like that, they still deal with it. The people with all the experience, they still deal with this, and it's something that they struggle with as well. So the new person, the middle person, and the more experienced person all kind of deal with this same kind of thing. So don't feel like you're the only one. Ways to kind of work on that imposter syndrome. These are some things that I've tried in the past that have worked for me. Things that other people have tried in the past. Also, by the way, I have links on that other page of my notes and links throughout the rest of the slides. So when we share these slides with everybody, if you're interested in them, there's resources and stuff throughout the pages. So feel free to grab that stuff. How to begin to overcome imposter syndrome. Go ahead. One thing that really helped me a lot was I got a mentor. Fresh out of my boot camp class, I went to Galvanize myself, and I found a random person at an event who became kind of my mentor. He and I have like co-worked together. I would help out with projects and stuff like that whenever they came up. And we would like just keep each other accountable. And it was really helpful for me to just have that person there. Even people that you don't know that are acquaintances, they don't always need to necessarily be a tech person. They could be somebody who's like a teacher, or who's like anybody really. Like it could be a family member, somebody you meet at an event today. You could go to a networking event somewhere else, but just someone that you can kind of touch base with once a month. Someone that will hold you accountable, that will kind of check in on you, and you don't. It's not just a one-way street. You can do the same thing exactly for them. You help to hold them accountable, and it's a two-way street there. Things like thinking about past experiences are another way. So hey, this bug that I'm working on is just super hard and super difficult. I am a failure. I've been working on this for a whole week. oh my God, I am just the worst developer in the world. They need to fire me. But you know what? Last week I fixed, 5 bugs last week, you know, and the week before that I fixed 2 more. So, thinking about your past experiences, thinking about, hey, maybe you started as an intern, as like an unpaid intern, you worked your way up to a paid intern, you worked your way up to a part-time employee or a full-time employee. Like you've grown, you've shown progression. So think about those kind of things when you're feeling down about yourself. You've look at how far you've come. It's really important to kind of think about that, those past experiences. Think about your accomplishments. If you're going to college, did you get like summa cum laude, or like were you like the highest in your class, or did you get like a certification? I know like Google certification, Amazon certification, Microsoft, all of those things. Those are all difficult to do. Can be done. They take time. They take energy. Their work, and working towards completing those goals, you get that check mark that says you've done it. But when you're thinking about how hard something is, hey, you worked through a thing, you did it, you made it happen, and you have that on your resume, you have that on your profile. You can show people that you've done this thing. So think about that. Another thing that works really good, and I don't necessarily keep a diary, but at work, what I do is every day I have a to-do list, whatever it is. I date my notebook. These are the tasks for the day and whatever. And as I get them done, I cross them off. That works for me. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a diary, but like I don't write stories in it, I guess. But like for me, like that works. Even if it's like a one project, one thing that I'm assigned, I break it down into like 5 pieces. Cross off 2 or 3 of them in one day. Hey, I feel great about that. Depending on what that task is. If you're able to break a problem down or a project down and to smaller pieces, like that's development, guys. That's it. You got to solve small things at a time till you get it. That's kind of how it goes. So to kind of wrap it all up, if you think you've had a bad day, something you struggle with, trying to figure out problems, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but don't give up. You can do it. Just keep working on it, guys. If anybody has something else that's worked for them that they'd like to share, this would be a great time. If anybody wants to suggest anything.
I'll say, for me, a really important thing about imposter syndrome, which of course I suffer from as well as anybody, is be careful with comparing yourself with other people. That's like such a huge trap, and it's so easy to to find someone that you think is better than you at XYZ. It could be a very limiting thing, and it's not really constructive because it's very like zero sum. I like thinking about zero sum versus constructive. Like zero sum is you have a pie and I got a slice, and that's not your slice now, it's my slice. You can't have it. Like a lot of times, in the professional world, and a lot of people think that the world works that way, but a lot of times it actually doesn't. And because somebody has something and you don't have it, doesn't mean that you can't get it, or that you have to feel better or be better than somebody. It could be a very destructive thing to think that way, in my opinion. And at least for me, like that's the one thing that, like, looking back in the past times where I've had imposter syndrome, and I felt bad about not feeling good enough and all these things at work. Oftentimes it started that way, at least for me. And it's something that I now know to watch out for, and I consciously try not to, and I try to encourage other people not to compare themselves to others as well. Like all this stuff here is awesome. Like, yeah, keep score, keep breadcrumbs. You add them up and you look back and you're like, damn, I did all this. And it's so easy to sort of like on any given day feel negative, like I'm not doing enough. But rather you look back and you're like, look at all I have done. And if you're working hard and you're trying your best, like you will rack up accomplishments.
Yes, absolutely. Caesar, go ahead. Or was that a clap?
It's just a clap, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. All right. Next slide is how to negotiate your best pay. And I'm going to hand it off to Laura. I'm going to stop sharing.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you all see my slide?
Yes.
Awesome. So today I'm going to be chatting with y'all about talking about money and negotiating our salaries, whether that is for a new job or we are asking for an increase in our current job or wanting to move up in the company that we're working in. And I want to start this conversation by talking about why it's so difficult for the Latinx community to talk about money in general. So basically, from my research and what I've learned and my own experience as a Latina, for Latinos living in the United States, many of us being immigrants or children of immigrants, we're raised to exemplify a humble mentality where we're expected to just be grateful for what we have. Asking for more, even if it is what's fair or what we deserve, can be misinterpreted in our culture as being ungrateful for the things that we do have. And because this practice of negotiation is not as common or as spoken about in our culture, it's easy for us to feel overwhelmed at the thought of asking for more money or even having conversations about the topic of money. Additionally, we've been taught that money is not something we discuss openly, as it is culturally considered a very private business. I don't know if you all can relate, but growing up, I've never really heard my parents or my family openly discussing, how much money they made or really even talking about any troubles related to money. It was considered a very private family matter. Thankfully, we are shedding a lot of the stigma and misconceptions about conversations about money with conversations like the one we're having right now. And more we see this need for salary transparency and for those in higher positions to pave a way for us to be able to have conversations about compensation. So many of us in the Latinx community can experience, as James was sharing, this imposter syndrome. And that's another aspect of talking or having conversations about money, is that oftentimes we think we're not deserving or not yet qualified for higher salaries, and we can undermine our own abilities and skills. So I hope that through the next couple of tips that I'm going to share, I can empower you all to feel more comfortable talking about money and making those negotiations. The first tip that I'm going to share is for you to do your research. So you have to know exactly what you're asking for before you even think about asking for it. And some tips that I have here for you are these websites where you can look at different roles, different positions, and what people in those positions are currently making right now. You can compare among different companies where those positions are available, and you can really gather this data and this information for you to be able to be equipped when it comes to having that conversation. As I mentioned, whether you're negotiating for a new role or for a promotion within your job, the first step is to become familiar with the industry salary trends. Find out what the budget is for the role or what the salary range is in your city for this type of job. You definitely don't want to not do the research and then put yourself in a position where you could be earning more money for that, but you're just not asking for the right amount. Having this information on hand will also help you feel confident and prepared when it's time to have this conversation. And it's especially important when you bring up your desired compensation that you sound confident in that number. And the only way you're going to sound confident in what you're asking for is if you know that that's the right amount that you should be asking for. I've also found it helpful to reach out to people that are currently in that role within the company. It's not as normalized yet to reach out to people and ask them how much money they make necessarily, but it is helpful to network that way. If you're interested in working for a specific company, reaching out to people that work there, building those connections, and you might be surprised the conversation about compensation could just come up. You don't lose anything by trying. So that's definitely another tip that I have for you all. The second tip is to gather your talking points and build your case. Now that you know how much money you want to ask for, the next step is to prepare the why behind that ask. Our resumes provide a limited space to include all the skills we possess and all of our achievements. When James was mentioning the diary, I was thinking of something, how he had a to-do list. An advice as well is to have sort of a brag sheet. And what I do is I have an Excel sheet where I keep track of all of my accomplishments, even if that's a day-to-day thing. What did I complete today that I'm proud of, or that my manager congratulated me on, an award that I've received at work. We are the type of people, this is again, imposter syndrome coming through, and also the humility that we get from our cultural identity, where we are much quicker to highlight our flaws than we are to highlight our success and the things that we are doing well. And it's especially important to be aware of all the things that you've done right and the reason why you deserve that number that you're asking for when you're negotiating your salary. So creating a brag sheet for yourself where you can have detailed information about your success in previous positions, what the success looked like, the date, or what the company was. Having all of these talking points are going to be helpful when it's time for you to have that conversation. The next step is tip number 3, which is practice your delivery. So as we mentioned, just having a conversation about money can be very difficult, especially if it's something new for you. If you have never negotiated your salary or really asked for a raise before, it could seem very intimidating. So now that you have the salary that you're looking for, as well as your brag sheet and your talking points, it's time for you to practice how you're going to ask for this. And there's a lot of resources online in terms of the actual words and phrases that you can utilize to ask for a raise or negotiate your salary. But the most important part is that you're actually practicing that delivery, whether you are doing it with a mentor, a friend, or even in front of the mirror, just to yourself. The more comfortable you get speaking it, hearing yourself say it, the easier it's going to be when you're having that conversation, the real deal, with the person that's going to make that decision. And either accept or, be willing to have that conversation with you about this negotiation of your salary. The fourth tip is to be prepared for all the outcomes that can come from that conversation. So lots of things can happen when you negotiate your salary. You may be asked to make a case for yourself as to why you deserve that amount. So definitely be ready to mention some of those points from your brag sheet. You may be asked to compromise on other benefits or job duties, such as, sure, we'll give you that number, but then you'll need to add X, Y, and Z to your responsibilities, or you can have that amount, but then you have to forgo these other benefits. So be ready to explore what that negotiation could look like on their end if they want to negotiate their terms as well. You may be asked questions about the market value you research. So many times you've done more research than the people that are offering you the job in terms of this topic of salary, and make sure that when you're presenting a number, you have the research to back it up and it's not just something that you've kind of made up. You may get a no. Also be prepared for that, what that conversation is going to look like. And you may also get a yes with not many questions or sort of resistance, and be prepared for that yes as well. The conversation about salary can go in many different directions, and it's important to familiarize yourself with different outcomes and just be prepared for what they are and how you will respond to them. Make a list of possible scenarios and ways in which you would respond, react to those scenarios, so that you can be more prepared once you've done the big part of the conversation, which is asking for the money, like what comes next. You definitely want to be prepared for that as well. And then my last tip is to just go for it. We've definitely established that talking about money is not the easiest thing for many of us, but with the right amount of preparation, we can definitely get it done. The worst case scenario is that you will not get the raise or salary that you're negotiating for. In that case, you'll need to make a decision for yourself, but at least you got in the practice of speaking about money. And next time that you have to do so, you'll be a lot more prepared and confident in doing so. In the best case scenario, your preparation and practice paid off and you got the number that you're wishing for. But regardless, the more that you have these types of conversations, the more confident you'll become in asking for a raise or negotiating your salary in a professional setting. We wish you the best in this process. Stay updated for our upcoming conversations about this topic in our social media and in future events as well. And we wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Does anybody else want to have any tips that they have tried in the past that's worked for getting that extra bit? All right.
There's there's one thing I can add that there's this term in negotiation called BATNA. That stands for Best Alternative to Negotiated Agreement. When I negotiate with somebody, I'm not a great negotiator, but I just try to remember BATNA and keep that in mind. And if you're happy with the BATNA, the best alternative to a negotiated agreement, like that gives me the confidence to just kind of go into it, guns blazing or whatever, and just I know what my alternative is, and I know what it's like Laura was saying, being prepared for all the possible outcomes. If I think about my BATNA and it's not really suitable for me, then you may not have the leverage or the upper hand in the negotiation. I think when it comes to negotiating salary, usually the worst thing that can happen is they say no, or I don't know, you're not going to be punished, most likely, for negotiating your salary.
Awesome. All right. So let's compare some, let's see some numbers. All right. I'll say that these numbers don't seem to be 100% accurate to me. I live in Austin and my rent's not $1,100 a month. It'd be great, but it's not. But what I did find was Austin's average pay for tech is $74K. So I took that number, I added 10K to it, a little bit extra money to kind of play around with. And I compared it to 5 cities. We have Austin, Seattle, Nashville, Denver, and New York. These are all tech cities, tech hubs. But this is kind of some of the numbers that you would see, things that you'd expect to pay living in some of these cities. So for example, in Austin, the median home price, $350K. I think that sounds about right to me, could be wrong. I don't own a home yet, but I know rent's not that one for me. Things like looking at Seattle, and Eddie can probably attest to this. Like I don't know if you own your home or if you rent, but what does a loaf of bread cost over there, man?
It depends where you shop.
Yeah,
that's a little high, $4.
For 22.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
No, HEB you can get bread for like $2 a loaf, depending on the bread you get, I guess.
Yeah, when I lived in Austin, I paid about $2.46 for a gallon of milk.
Yeah, that sounds about right too. So I mean, these numbers are a little bit skewed. They might be old, maybe from when the last time they got their report. There's a link to the website that I used in this slide. But even like Nashville, I had a friend that he's a React developer. He's a full stack developer. And he moved to Nashville beginning of last year, and he moved because it feels like Austin kind of to him. And I went to go check it out with him, but the cost of living is definitely cheaper there. So it's kind of important to think about, when you're negotiating that salary for your next position. If you're remote, it may not matter so much, but if you're intending to move, or you're looking to get away from where you're at, think about what things are going to cost you. What are your current bills looking like? For example, for me, my current bills, just basic bills, is like $2,500 a month. Basic bills: rent, water, electricity, insurance, internet, stuff like that. I don't have a car bill, which is great. That's one thing. I don't have like I have like a student loan or whatever that's working on, but I don't have anything super major. But that's very basic. So I have to think about that in comparison to anywhere else. If we move somewhere, what is that going to look like, say in Denver or in New York? That's crazy to think about that. 85K in Austin, you'd have to make almost $200,000 to live in New York and be the same level of comfort. I can't imagine that. That's just mind blowing for me, honestly. We had a friend that moved to New York, I guess in like August, and they had to split an apartment with 4 other people just to pay rent to live in New York. She's an art, she deals with art and theater and stuff like that. But so that's beside the point. But yeah, just to have a rent there, it's just outrageous. So it's something to think about. Like when you're negotiating, think about what's going to cost for you to live there comfortably. Yeah. Let's see. So what are some tech jobs, some quote unquote FANG companies where you're at in some of these cities? Well, in Austin, there's quite a bit. We're very fortunate. There's a lot of places here. This is, I'm sure, not the whole list, but we have eBay, we have Facebook, we have General Motors, we have IBM, we have Visa. You name it, you can kind of pick and choose what you want to work at, where you want to do, how you want to do it, all the things here in Austin. I use different resources to find each of these sets of companies, but not everybody has the same thing. They all have different types of things. You have to think about where you're living at and what's going to be in that area. So it's important to kind of think about that kind of question. Say you already have a job at one of these places and you want to move somewhere else. If they're not allowing remote work, well, you can't move, or you have to move somewhere that's available in office if you have to show up to work every day. So it's kind of important to think about that. If you're applying for these positions, and you're out there, you want to try to just be prepared as much as possible. If they ask you to move, do you want to move to one of these places? So it's important to kind of think about that. I went ahead and grabbed a list of some of the top 10 tech jobs that people are applying for 2022. This table is broken down by what the job itself, the company is looking for. This information said 25% of what they're looking for are newer employees, newer developers. 50% of what they're looking for is saying like mid-level developers, and 75% are looking for that higher echelon, that one in a million, that developer that's been around for a long time and knows how to solve things and can solve things quickly. They're the problem solver. So the link to this website, it's on the slide as well. But it's kind of important to think about that, like for those folks that are going into a boot camp, for example, or those people that are getting their bachelor's degree or master's degree or whatnot, computer science. Do you want to be a web developer? Do you want to be a database admin? Do you want to be a systems analyst? Do you want to be a network cloud architect? It's important to think about that, especially if you're going to be starting out soon, or if it's something that you're wanting to, if you're one of your next steps, like to be, whatever that might be. Like I'm a front-end developer, but I would love to learn how to do like network and computer systems and kind of things. I think that's really neat. So if I'm looking at pay rates, well, with my experience, I might want to shoot for the more experience so that it pays better. Things like that. It's important to think about that when you are choosing that career and choosing the classes you're taking and just everything in general. And then we had a couple people talking about wanting to do freelancing and stuff. That's what I do. I'm a freelance developer. I don't know how many people I work for anymore. It's been a lot, but there's a lot of options out there. And what's really great about it is a lot of the times you can work for anybody, anywhere you want. That's that whole idea of the digital nomad. That's the goal. I've tried it a few times. It's hard, but it can be done. You know, there's a lot of opportunities for finding work, finding projects and things like that. I've had a lot of success using LinkedIn. It's a great place to find projects at, to find work at. You can set up specialized search results for yourself that will email you daily. Open positions that are hiring. You can set it up to where you're getting, I want remote work, or I want work that's going to be, in Austin, or I want work that I, can go somewhere else to. It's an opportunity to get out of town or whatever. So it's that's one nice things about it. You can specialize your profile. You can do all kinds of stuff to make yourself stand out. Another thing that's really cool. Sounds weird to say it out loud, but Craigslist for finding freelancing work. That's another thing you can set up a specialized search for. Whenever something comes in and is available, it'll send you an email. I'm looking for React work in Austin, and I'm looking for it as soon as possible. So that's one of the things you can do. Facebook's another thing. Depending on how involved you want to be with your social media outlook, I'm in a handful of different groups that do remote work. They're freelance groups. There's, hey, I don't know how to do this. How do I do that? Well, you can always ask. There's somebody out there who's experienced freelancing and what you're doing, and it's a great resource. The groups I'm a part of are like Austin Freelance Gigs, Austin Digital Jobs. And if I have questions, I've asked a few times, and people respond, which is nice. Think about, like, because I do a lot of WordPress work, I'm in a lot of groups that are PHP and WordPress and whatnot, and like e-commerce stuff. So I will ask questions in there and provide answers, and kind of just becoming part of that community. It is a step in I think it's definitely a part of freelancing, is just being there and joining in that conversation a lot of times. There's a couple different websites. Fiverr and Upwork are other platforms that are great for freelancers. Great thing about them is it's 100% remote. I've yet to see one of those where it's like you have to show up in the office. I don't know if they might exist. I'm not sure, but you build a profile. It's kind of like LinkedIn. You say your skills, you put projects, you put examples, you show your work. And then you turn in applications to different gigs, different projects. It could be something as simple as I need a button. It could be something as complex as, like, I need you to build a database and a full stack application, or I need a mobile app, or you name it. They have it on there, and you can set your search to, or your query to whatever it is that you want to do, whatever you're specializing in. It's a great way to pay your bills. It's a great way to make a living, and kind of live that I work remotely lifestyle. Another great tool is the freelancersunion.org. They help out with, like, insurance. They help out with, I think they do like a banking system as well, and like they help you with savings and stuff like that, and doing your taxes and stuff. So as a freelancer, you're kind of on your own. You don't have a company necessarily that is going to take your taxes out. So when you're thinking about negotiating that price, how much is it going to cost for your time for that project, or your hourly rate, you have to think about, I have to take my own taxes out. I have to pay for my own insurance. I have to pay for my own equipment a lot of the time, or sometimes. So it's a great resource. It's a great tool. They have like a yearly event where they have just a bunch of different topics, and they talk about it. They have workshops, and it's a great thing to check out with them. And then I have some useful links. These are some of the links that we used throughout the presentation today. Totally up for grabs. I can drop them in our chat. Actually, I can't actually. I'll drop them in the chat here real quick, and feel free to utilize them. These are some of the tools we used. It has like the different calculators. It has like Glassdoor. It has built-in, which is another great tool. It's built-in. For those of y'all that are not familiar with it, it's a tool that kind of goes around the United States. I don't know if it goes outside or not, but it's what's going on in your town, what tech event is going on, what company just got funding. Hey, if this company just got funding, well, I might want to try to apply for them. They have money to pay me. That might be worth checking out. Levels and blinds. I don't remember what they do off the top of my head, but I think they talk about pay rates, and just like what it's like working at that company. Looking at different tax brackets, that's important, especially as a freelancer. You need to think about how taxes are going to work for yourself. But even as a developer as well, I guess you want to keep that in mind, so you know how much you're getting taxed on your money. Make sure you're getting paid right. Let's see. So that's the end of our presentation. I'd like to leave it open for questions, Q&A, chat. I hope I was able to answer some questions for some people tonight. I can also stop sharing too.
Yeah, blind is like anonymous shit posting about your company, but there's
Okay.
there's a lot of very good info on there though.
Nice.
Yeah. You just have to take it with a grain of salt. It's like,